There are three things our lazy Faun loves the most: the forest, the music, and woman. One day, after awakening from a nap on a sunny spring afternoon, he is surprised to see 7 wonderful dancing nymphs approaching his glade. Led by curiosity, he descends from his rock to take a closer look. However, his attempts to approach the nymphs are fruitless. They are too frightened by this half boy, half goat, and they flee, except one. They get closer, and for a moment they start to dance. But his nearness scares her away. She drops her veil and flees as well. Rejected, but still yearning for her, he takes her veil and climbs back on his rock. But being unable to fall back into his afternoon slumber, he lays down the veil and succumbs to his desire.
What a pervy little fuck, right? So let's talk about this perfume today, The Afternoon of a Faun by Etat Libre d'Orange. Officially, it was inspired by the legendary Polish ballet dancer Wacław Nijinsky, who choreographed and played the main role of The Afternoon of a Faun, a ballet piece in 1912, to Claude Debussy's prelude to The Afternoon of a Faun symphonic work, which was inspired by a poem written by Stéphane Mallarmé. Now, the poem describes the sensual experiences, sensual experiences of a Faun who just woken up from his afternoon sleep and discusses his encounters with a few wonderful nymphs. It's like a dreamlike monologue, basically. But the poem and the ballet piece are very different. As you could see in the intro, especially the ending, is kind of explicit, so it shocked the audience back then. And the poem is not like that. So I would rather say that the perfume was inspired by the poem, and Aldo just simply used Nijinsky's character and the ballet piece for the marketing. So as I said, this scent is like the poem. There is nothing explicit or sexual about it. What do I mean about that? I mean that notes that are usually used in perfumes that are considered to be sexual/sensual are not really present here. Like notes like heavier dose of cinnamon or honey or sensual musks or animalic notes. There are no animalic notes here, which is kind of surprising. We have a faun here, a human goat creature. So to me, this fragrance is like a painting. Whenever I think about this scent and the poem, I see a painting in my head. I see this scenery, a sunny day, a glade, forest clearing with the faun, wonderful nymphs around him. There is a pond there, small pond, water is evaporating from its surface, and this steam fog together with the sun rays, they create this hazy, dreamlike look on top of this scene. And this is what this perfume smells like, and this is the vibe of the poem as well. And it's very realistic. The perfumer didn't add anything to it to make it more mass appealing. Well, Aldo doesn't do that usually. If you don't know Aldo, now you know. But if you do know Aldo, you might expect something crazy from here, especially knowing the inspiration behind it. But I must say there's nothing weird about it. Only thing I could say maybe is that this is a Chypre and this is a bit less perfumey, more realistic than classic Chypres like Mitsuko, for example. So I would say that this is more raw, almost unfinished, but I really like about that. I really like that about it. So this is a realistic perfume painting without beauty filter and without any explicit vulgar details. Like painters, I wrote it down, I'm not an expert. Painters like Peter Paul Rubens or Sandro Botticelli, if you look them up, their paintings are usually full with breasts and asses. You don't see that here. You see the wonderful nymphs, but that's it. This is a well-behaved scent, a very nice picture, very realistic, perfectly executed, and I love it. Now let's talk about the notes, finally. If you go and check the online databases, you will see a lot of notes listed next to this perfume, but I mainly detect 4. The main one, the most prominent one, is oak moss, and it's very realistic. It's rich, it's wet, earthy, musty, and it's just so good. And the oak moss represents the faun here. And not just the faun, like the nature, the forest, in my opinion. Now the second note is immortelle, and immortelle represents the sun in this scenery. And indeed, immortelle gives this scent the warmth. It gives this hazy effect, the golden glow. And it works so well together with the oak moss. Sometimes it's borderline bitter, especially if you go and sniff your wrist too close, but in the air, usually not, so that's okay. The third note is rose, as expected, because the word rose is mentioned several times in the poem, and that's indeed the metaphor for the nymphs. And this is a very lush and green and wet rose, and it's great. It works very well. Not too strong though. The fourth note is officially, well, unofficially, it's not listed anywhere, I think, because I don't see a clear citrus note in this fragrance. Not even in the opening, but I see something citrus-like, citra-like, sharp, borderline sour, just a little bit. It gives the scent a little bit of sparkle, and in my opinion this is ginger, or at least that's how I interpret this effect. And that's it basically. If I try to convince myself, you know, to find those other notes that are listed usually next to this scent, maybe cinnamon, touch of cinnamon, although I mentioned cinnamon before, that is not here. Definitely not overdose, just a little bit. And maybe incense smoke. Sometimes I feel a little bit of smoky vibe in it, but that's it. Now, let me talk about the oak moss again, because this fragrance, to me, this is the reference oak moss. It is so realistic that I couldn't even recognize it first, which is crazy. Like, imagine this, you're walking down the street and you see a dude and you think, oh, this dude looks familiar, you know, but yay. But you get closer and, you know, maybe is that him or just looks like him? So you think that this dude looks like your favorite actor, but nah, you're not sure. But then you get really close and you even ask him, and then you realize, fuck, that's him. That happened to me basically, because we got used to the synthetic oak moss or the stripped down oak moss, so I couldn't see it first. I know it sounds weird, but then later I realized that this oak moss smells like my oak moss absolute. And this is so rare. I never smelled such a realistic oak moss in any perfume before. Yeah. So, Afternoon of a Faun. This is an amazing perfume in my opinion, and it lasts also when it comes to longevity. No problems, 2 sprays last the whole workday, 8 to 10 hours, and yeah, it's great.